We've all heard that story of the prodigal son, which more accurately could be called the story of the gracious father. Because the dad is gracious, both to his younger prodigal son, whom he welcomes back into the family, and to that older responsible son who throws a temper tantrum because dad is so kind. But something you probably never noticed about the gracious father is this. He not only is living well as a successful businessman with hired workers on the farm and kindness and mercy towards his foolish younger son, he's also preparing for dying well by taking care of his family and providing for both of those sons in his will. Now we know that because in the story, the younger son asked dad for his share of the estate, and the father divides his property between them. That means dad already had a plan for taking care of his family after he dies. And once the younger son took his share and left, the older son would inherit all the rest. As dad told him towards the end of the story, "My son, you are always with me, and everything I have is yours." Wise people strive to live well, so they are prepared to die well, which is what the Sunday sermons have been about during this season of Lent, living and dying well. Because as we heard on Ash Wednesday, we're all going to die. Say it with me. I'm going to die. Wise people strive to live well, so they are prepared to die well. Living well means that we cooperate with God to be in right relationship with Him and with our neighbors and with each other, especially since God has done His part to make that possible. As Jesus absorbed the consequences of our selfishness and our mistakes into Himself, took them to the cross, and died on our behalf to pay the penalty for all of that. Dying well means that we do our part to prepare for our own death by taking care of ourselves and deciding what kind of care we want as we approach death, and who we want to make those decisions if we're too sick to make them for ourselves. And last week, I gave out 5 wishes booklets to each of you, and I hope that you will make those kinds of decisions and then communicate those to your family, to your doctor, and to your pastor. Now, if you filled yours out and made your copies and brought them back today, give them to one of our clergy, and we will keep them here on file. But if you weren't here last Sunday, or if you need another booklet, or if you want to give one to someone else that you love, there's stacks of them out in the narthex hallway on the tables, and take as many as you want. But dying well also means taking care of our family and doing what we can now to make sure they're provided for after we die. And we're all going to die. Say it with me. I'm going to die. The word family, of course, has a range of meaning, starting with your blood family, your parents, siblings, spouse, kids, grandkids. And if you don't have much or any blood family, or you're estranged from your blood family, family may be your closest friends or whatever group you choose to align with. Now, I hope the Messiah family is in there somewhere. And if you don't have blood family, or you don't have any that live anywhere close, I hope you will let us love you and be family for you. But however you define family, here's the to-do list for taking care of them in order for you to die well. Number 1, deal with debt. Now, we all hope to leave some material blessings to our family when we die. But any debt that we have when we die will be subtracted from our estate and go to pay off what we owe. Our creditors get first dibs on our stuff when we die. Don't we want as little as possible to go to them so that we can have as much as possible go to the people that we love? And the way to make that happen is pay off all our debts as soon as possible so that what we have can grow rather than shrink, because we have to make payments, which includes interest on those payments for which we receive nothing. Now, if you are mired in debt and you want to get out, I will give you a copy of Dave Ramsey's Total Money Makeover. Okay? In it is 5 simple steps, not 5 easy steps, but 5 simple steps to get out of debt and help you live well so you can die well. Just let me know and I will get you a copy. It'll be sometime this week or next week. Please don't leave your family saddled with debt when you die. Now, on the to-do list for dying well, number 1 is deal with debt. Number 2 is life insurance. Now, if you're single, or your kids are grown and out of the house, or your home is paid off, or you have enough resources to fully provide for your family in your absence, you don't need life insurance. If, however, you still have kids at home, or a mortgage, or other debt payments, or not enough cash or investments to fund your kids' education, or to get them started out in life on their own, or a spouse whose income is not enough to live on, you need life insurance. That way, if you die before all your family needs are met, the mortgage gets paid off, the kids' education is funded, and your spouse doesn't have to live on ramen noodles and beans and rice. Term life insurance is life insurance you buy not for the rest of your life, but for a set term of time, only until the kids are grown and gone, and or the house is paid off, and or you have enough savings for your family to live on without your income. Term life insurance is not that expensive, and it's temporary. It's for a term of time. And the internet has a plethora of term life insurance options, and we have some insurance folks here in the congregation, and I will point them out if you ask me. When Debbie and I got married, we still had one child who was on the dole and a mortgage, and so we bought term life insurance. Well, since then, that child has grown up and is out and on his own and has a family of his own, and we worked hard and we paid off our mortgage early, and we did the math, and between our Social Security and pensions and savings, either of us will be financially okay if the other one dies, so we canceled our term life insurance. But please don't leave your family financially high and dry if you die. That's the purpose of life insurance. On the to-do list for dying well, number 1 is deal with debt. Number 2 is life insurance. Number 3 is write my will. The gracious Father in Jesus' story specified how his property was to be divided between his 2 sons. We need to do the same with our family. When I die, who gets what? Because if I don't write a will, communicating my choices for what I want done with my stuff, the state of Florida will make those choices for me, which may or may not be what I want. If I'm married, yes, my spouse gets it all. If I'm single and have kids, yes, they get equal portions. But what if there are no children? What if there are stepchildren? What if one of my kids died before me, especially if they had kids? What if I want some or all of my stuff to go to a charity or my college or some cause I believe deeply in? If I don't have a will and I don't specify those details in that will, the state of Florida is not going to speculate about how I might want my stuff to be divided. Living and dying well includes writing a will and communicating what you want done with your stuff when you die. If you do not yet have a will, I urge you to write one. There are online apps that are legal in the state of Florida to do that. Or if you want professional help, parishioner and expert estate lawyer Steve Dunnigan is available, and his contact insurance information is going to... Next slide. There you go. There he is. It's also in your bulletin. Please do not leave your family at the mercy of the state of Florida when you die. Please write your will. And when you do, please include the church in it. If you've never tithed or given 10% of your income to God through the church, you have one last chance to do that. And that would be in your will. Now, if you have given generously to God through your church and you're excited about what the Messiah family is doing here, then you have the chance to enhance that by including the church in your will. Debbie's and my will stipulates that an amount equal to 10% of our estate goes to Church of the Messiah when we die. The rest goes to our kids and grandkids. Including the Messiah family in your will help us continue changing the world with Jesus for decades to come, maybe even until Jesus comes back. If you have a will and the church is not in it, but you would like it to be, parishioner and expert estate lawyer Steve Dunnigan will amend your will to include Church of the Messiah pro bono, which is a legal term which means for free. And if you don't have a will and you engage him to do your estate planning and to write your will and you include the church in it, he will give you a 10% discount. Once again, his contact information is right up there, and it's in your bulletin. On the to-do list for dying well, item number 1 is deal with debt. Number 2 is life insurance. Number 3 is write my will and include the church in it. And the last item is, why wait until I die? Why not give away some or even a lot of my stuff while I'm still alive and can enjoy blessing the folks to whom I give it, especially if I don't need it or don't use it anymore? Years ago, my dad did this. He asked me what of his that I wanted when he died, and I wanted a drinking fountain that came out of his office when he retired. For those of you from Wisconsin, that's a bubbler. Okay? And it was just sitting in his barn out on the farm. He gave it to me, and now it's in my garage. And someday I'll hook it up, and I'll have cold water when I work out in the yard. My mom did the same thing, and I use her roll-top desk every day when I read my Bible and pray for you, and all those postcards that I write are done on my mom's roll-top desk that she gave me before she died. I've done it too. I gave a guitar that I loved to my son when he needed one to use in his job at his church. Why wait until I'm dead to bless somebody with something that God has so generously blessed me with? Because when I do, it blesses me to see how it blesses that person I love. You know, someday, each of us is going to die. Say it with me. I'm going to die. Until then, let's choose to live well so we can die well. That means taking care of my family by dealing with debt, by procuring life insurance if my family needs it, by writing a will and including the church in it, and giving away at least some of our stuff while we're still alive so we can enjoy how it blesses people that we love. Checking these items off of that to-do list constitutes living and dying well. And it makes us just a little bit more like that gracious Father in the story that Jesus told, and even better than that, it makes us a little bit more like our gracious Father in heaven.